Millie Mackintosh found fame starring in the reality show Made in Chelsea. She became a self-confessed party girl, drinking into the early hours at social and work events.
But even after becoming a mum of two, Millie really struggled to control her drinking, almost leading to the breakdown of her marriage.
Today, Millie joins us over 2 years sober with her new book, Bad Drunk, about how she gave up the booze. Good morning, Millie.
Hi there.
Good morning.
Good morning. I have to say, it's a very brave book to write, and there is a chapter in it where you talk about it and you go, you get really nervous about it and you dreaded doing it. But I think it's an important book to write too, actually.
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking, and today it's the release day, and knowing that so many people are going to be reading such personal details of my past is hard, but it's really about sharing that vulnerability and that pain and turning it into power so that I can help other people who felt how I did.
Bad Drunk is a very dramatic title as well. We often talk, don't we, about people being good drunks and bad drunks. That's become a sort of a label we give people.
But it's crazy to me that we expect people to be able to handle consuming a drug. And if people can't handle it and they get addicted or they have issues with it, it's kind of frowned upon and taboo. But it's kind of crazy when you think about it.
And your drinking started quite early on, actually, because you were quite shy. You would sometimes get anxious in certain situations. Can you tell us about how it all started and how your relationship with alcohol progressed?
I'd say from my kind of early experiences of alcohol when I was a young teen, it was very much binge drinking, till I would pass out, drinking, and not remembering much of what happened the night before, throwing up. I think it was quite normalised as kind of teenage drinking behaviour. And I think in our culture, there is this kind of binge drink, pressure, I think, especially with young people at parties, where it's kind of like, you're trying to fit in and be cool, and you're not drinking just to enjoy the taste, you're really drinking, to get drunk. And it continued like that through my teens. I never could really know when to stop or when to rein it in. I always had an issue with knowing when I'd gone too far, and, I was a bad drunk. And it was painful actually choosing that as the title, but it also just fits so perfectly because that's how I remember myself as a drinker.
Yeah.
And it was something that I couldn't shake off in my 20s. I continued in the same kind of cycle, and it was something I carried a lot of shame about. And actually, I was then drinking to try and numb those feelings of shame. So it becomes like a really vicious circle that
you got into Made in Chelsea, of course, is when you first became known to a wider audience, in your early 20s. You were 21, I think. And actually, the very nature of a lot of the filming you were doing would be in parties and openings and glamorous environments where everyone is drinking, and drinking became a big part of that experience, didn't it?
Definitely. I mean, we weren't always drinking on set because sometimes we'd be filming party scenes at 10 a.m. But we'd often be hungover from the night before or be going out with everybody after filming. And that was a point in my life where I was drinking, most nights of the week there'd be some party to go to. And then when I became a mother, kind of thought that I'd be able to get a handle on my drinking. I'd be able to know when to draw the line because I was now a mother. But actually, it was like pouring fuel on fire because I was struggling as a new mum and alcohol was so readily available, and I felt like it's socially acceptable and it was a release.
And a reward as well.
Yeah, almost celebrated a little bit within society too. And I think also the other thing that happened that you can't forget the influence of it is the pandemic. We weren't in our normal schedules. Yeah. We weren't, going to work every day. It had changed everything too.
Yeah, we couldn't go and see our friends. It was a very weird time.
Yeah.
After I had my children, I just knew I couldn't keep going. I couldn't keep acting how I was, and it was making me really unhappy. It was really affecting my life, affecting my relationships, especially with my husband. And
you had one occasion at a wedding where you got very, very drunk, and he essentially turned around and said, "The marriage is going to end unless you deal with this."
Yeah, and it had got, at that point, I had really taken it too far, and I'd really humiliated him. I was so embarrassed, and it was a couple of days after that that I eventually, finally got to the point where I said, okay, enough is enough now. And that was 2.5 years ago.
So there'll be people watching this morning who'll be thinking they feel like they're in a similar position. They need to make a change, but actually making that first step is the hardest thing. How did you do it? How have you got to the point that you're 2.5 years sober down the line? What are the steps that you've put into place that have allowed you to stay alcohol-free?
I got a sober coach.
Yeah.
Because I knew I needed some kind of support. I didn't feel that I needed to go to rehab. I didn't feel that I needed to go to AA. But I wanted somebody that specialised in helping people to, stop their relationship with alcohol. And he really was very hard-talking and he really got through to me. And I saw him every week for about 6 months. I also listened to lots of podcasts and read lots of books. And I just wanted to learn a lot more about what alcohol actually does to your brain and body. And it started to really shift my mindset.
Did you have withdrawals?
I didn't have withdrawal.
OK.
It's so interesting when you talk about it, I think, and the more we can talk about this grey area, I don't think it is as clear as black and white, and you need to go to
a lot of people. It's not talked about enough. So it's like middle ground.
Yes, correct. Like you saying you got a sober coach, you didn't need to go to AA, but you needed to get in control of your drinking. What would be the points that you would say that if anybody recognises at home, they should maybe take action and do something?
I would say if you frequently drink more than you plan to and then regret it and feel awful the next day, if you don't know where that line is when you kind of should, the sensible amount to kind of stop. Maybe when you just feel like you can't be a responsible drinker. Maybe you've tried lots of times, I know I did, to make rules. So I'd say, okay, I'll stop drinking at 9 p.m. or I'll drink a glass of water between each drink, or I'll only have 3 drinks, or I'll only have 1 drink, and it was never just 1. So if you've tried to kind of set yourself these boundaries with alcohol before and they haven't worked, maybe now is the time to try to actually stop, even if it's just for a period of time.
Yeah.
If it's affecting your relationships, it's affecting your life and getting in the way of the things you want to do. I used to spend every weekend so hungover that I'd be on the sofa and unable to even leave the house.
You're a mum now, so you can't do that. Weekends are absolutely driven by parties and engagements and fun, and you want to be there for the kids as well. They don't deserve that.
Hangover with children is enough to make anyone want to stop drinking.
Yeah.
It just really didn't fit with my lifestyle anymore.
Well, thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for being so brave about it, because I think it definitely opens up that discussion amongst people. Millie's book, Bad Drunk, is out.
Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.